My name is Albert Shi. This is Ming Cheng. I'm currently a second-year MBA student here at Haas, and Ming actually did his undergraduate degree at Berkeley as well. We are the co-founders of a company called Naked Suits. We participated and actually won the Made for China competition in the spring, and are really happy to be back here and kind of share some of our experiences since the inception of the company and what we've been doing since then. So, Naked Suits. So what is Naked Suits? Naked Suits is a vision that we have of creating a new brand for tailored menswear that incorporates both functionality and fashion. Basically, to meet the needs of today's generation of younger working professionals, we think that who have greater mobility than before, who lead active lifestyles, maybe going to Vegas on the weekends, maybe in DC or New York, back in the Bay Area by the evening. We think that there's a need for clothing that fits the lifestyle needs of today's generation of consumers. As such, we're building clothing that incorporates features such as water resistance, such as increased breathability, increased versatility for the clothing that makes it easier for people to wear both during and after work. And at the same time, with a more modern, somewhat slim-fitting aesthetic that also caters to the needs of today's younger working professionals. We may not be wearing suits all the time, but when we do, we definitely don't want to be wearing our father's suits. We want to be wearing something that's that's going to cater more to our personal sense of style and make us more confident in what we're doing, debates, to bars, to presentations, or whatever it is that we want to be doing. So I have a really quick presentation. I just want to spend like a minute or two running through, and then maybe take a few questions just on anything that the audience may have to say. In terms of our market, so we are launching the product in the US, but we think that China and parts of Asia in general is definitely a very attractive market for us. The men's suits market in China is about 1.7 billion at the moment. It's been growing pretty fast, and as we continue to increase the development of more professional services, types of industries in the country, there's definitely going to be an increased need for suits as well. As you can tell, the top 10 brands control less than 40% of the market, and it's a pretty fragmented market. And we think that there's definitely room to become to play a role there as well in terms of, again, meeting the needs of some of today's younger working professionals. Because of just kind of the breadth of choices that people have in terms of you can buy suits, especially in China, starting from like the tens of dollars up to the tens of thousands of dollars, because just the wide variety of styles and fabrics and everything there is. We think that men definitely do face a problem in terms of finding suits that kind of meet their sense of style, that complement their body shape, that are comfortable to wear, and that have a sense of versatility, so that they can be worn anywhere with very little hassle. As I mentioned before, Naked Suits basically is bringing an element of performance, such as what we've been seeing in outdoor apparel, to the tailored clothing industry. And one of the suits that incorporate different sorts of materials, technologies that increase durability, increase repellency of some of the natural elements, add a more modern style that I mentioned, and allow you to do things such as snowboard on the mountains if you want to do your suits. This is an extreme example. Our vision, again, is to create more clothing that fits the lifestyle and aesthetic needs of today's generation. A few use cases that I'll just throw up here could be actively commuting to work on a bike, and rather than having to change your fit, to be able to just wear one thing throughout. We could be traveling very often. We both worked in China before, as have kind of been through that whole ordeal at times. So there's definitely a need for clothing that kind of stands up to that rigor. And also, again, if you're transitioning from the work life to a night on the town, be able to wear what we make and not have to worry about standing up for the wrong reasons. So with that said, thanks everyone for your time, and I would like to be open for any questions that you might have.
Just wondering, kind of how much effort is put into the R&D side in the suit development, as compared to how much effort put into marketing or style or design and such?
So we've been in business, so we started the company about 1.5 years ago, and the first year of that was really spent on just building the supply chain, meeting with suppliers, meeting with tailors, focusing on product development, doing prototyping, and just really concentrating on getting a product that we felt good enough to sell to the public. We released our first products over the summer in June. And since that time, I've kind of shifted focus a little bit more towards the marketing and PR and branding side to start just building a bit of a presence, especially locally in the Bay Area, but also to a certain extent more nationally as well. So we've been reasonably successful so far, and there's obviously still a lot of very long path ahead. But we have been featured in some media. We were in the Chronicle about a month ago and on NBC a couple months ago. And so we definitely have started taking that effort once we have a product out there and have started to focus more on the home marketing and branding side of things. Yes?
Well, because based off the presentation, it seemed like especially in China, this market seems like really competitive. And I was wondering, what were your plans, or what were you guys going to do to try to be more aware of your product and how it's different from theirs?
So, that's a really great question. And as Dr. Xu mentioned in his speech, Chinese definitely do enjoy brands, right? So, our strategy is to first establish ourselves in the U.S. Just to become a brand that gains that's relatively popular for younger men who have this type of, who fit kind of the demographic and the lifestyle needs that we're catering towards. And then bringing that message overseas, whether it's to Japan, to China, maybe even to Europe, and just kind of leveraging the fact that we are a company that was started in the U.S., but that has something that definitely caters to a lot of the needs in other markets as well.
So I remember when judges asked you, how much money are you raising? And the company said no. So unless you're from a $1 billion family, how do you tackle a $1 billion market like China?
So at the time of the competition, we actually had not even released the product yet. We were, as you might remember, we were getting towards the point where we were nearing the end of our initial product development cycle, but we had very little information on the market, the customers, who we're targeting, what's the strategy, the branding, and all that stuff, right? And it didn't seem like the right time for us to be raising money, just because internally I felt like we needed to prove ourselves. We needed to establish a certain amount of traction in the market in order to then validate ourselves for potentially external investors. We are actually at the point where we have started having some discussions about whether it's the right timing to raise a small round that would be able to help accelerate the growth of the company. So, if you know any investors who have passion, let me know.
But yeah, we definitely have realized that in China you do require a good bit of capital to sell a luxury product, especially because Chinese consumers often require kind of a very luxurious store with a lot of amenities and a very, very good service in order to buy the luxury product.
So this question kind of leads into that. Can you talk a little bit about the distribution strategy or how you kind of build partnerships with local?
Sure. We would definitely. We actually haven't started distributing in China yet. As Albert has said, we wanted to start out building the brand in the U.S. so that we can at least get some of that buzz and some of the hype to transfer over. We feel that that would at least help in entering the market, because just entering with nothing ready is probably a bad idea at this point. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
I have some questions about the technical parts of technical divisions of your organization, because the new products and the new logos that we have all of the air. So I'm thinking about the part of the fashion design. How much investment you make?
Just confirm the question, it's how much investment we've been making in the fashion, the design elements of the business. So it's been something that I guess there's a couple of reasons why we started out with suits. Right? One was that there was kind of a personal need for the product that we felt wasn't really being met in the market to date. And the second was because the design elements of suits is, you don't have to, like, if there's less risk in the design of suits at a high level than there is in, making a woman's dress, for example, just because of all the different, stylistic complexities involved. We've been doing the design in-house, and as it's going to be like, the company has been completely so far. I would say, if you're including just kind of the entire cost of prototyping and everything, I don't even know what the percentage is, but it's in terms of timing. It required a significant amount of our resources, from inception to launch a product. It's actually, honestly, it's kind of hard to give a specific number, but definitely it was done.
Order of magnitude, maybe around 50%.
And again, designing includes not just what it looks like, but also materials and how the components fit together and all that stuff. Thank you very much.
So due to time constraint, we have to end the Q&A session for now, but during the panel discussion, our panelists will answer more of your questions. So next, we are going to have our second speaker, Ms. Sue Malone. Sue is the founder of Strategies for Small Business and the #1 small business administration loan provider for the Community Express loan program in the nation. She has held innumerable loan workshops to organizations, associations, nonprofits, colleges, franchise, and entrepreneurial organizations. She works directly with the SBA as well as SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives, Women's Business Centers, and SBA Small Business Development Centers. Sue has a degree in accounting and an MBA in finance. So let us put our hands together to welcome Sue on stage. Sue, please.
Feeling really old when I walked in, so I'm glad the doctor's here. It's a pleasure to be here back on the UC Berkeley campus. I'm a 6th generation UC Berkeley person, and in fact my great uncle won the Olympics for UC Berkeley in rowing, and my son plays water polo across in Ned Speaker's pool. So when Ned Speaker first started, he came here to learn to swim, and he made a fortune in real estate in the Bay Area. So it's a real pleasure to be here. I am a serial entrepreneur, and it's nice to see all the women in the audience. When I went to school and graduated from the UC system, I'm married to a man, I've got a house full of frickin' frat boys, so I'm fine with it. But when I went, we had a couple options. We could be a school teacher, or we could be a nurse. And I will tell you, I did try teaching, and that lasted very shortly because I couldn't get all my classes, and so one way I found out to register was with the athletes. So I ended up, this tells you how old I am, I'm a little bit younger than you, but not much. I remember the freedom of speech here, because my husband was here. But anyway, I ended up typing the papers for the football team, and so I was able to register with them and get all my classes. But what I really found out is they really paid well. So I really started my entrepreneurship there, and then I went back to school and got a degree in accounting. And one of my clients with my international tax practice was the largest woolen jean manufacturer in the world based out of Hong Kong. So I flew between San Francisco and Hong Kong a great deal of the time. However, I've owned 7 businesses. As I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And at one time, I had a crazy mayor across the bay. I'm sure some of you are from San Francisco. And he decided one day to tell me that I needed $32,000 by the end of the day. And I thought, now where am I going to get that? I'm pretty leveraged at that time. And when you have the Teamsters on your payroll, you don't mess around with Jimmy Hoffa, or you're sleeping next to him in Giant Stadium. And I've been happily married for a number of years, and I decided I wasn't going to do that. So I developed a loan program for small businesses, for businesses to start, expand, and take their businesses to the next level. There's 5 of us that put our money together. We're self-funded with our own money. And I became the largest SBA lender in the country. I have funded 41,000 loans nationwide. I'm the largest export lender in the world. I am the largest lender to veterans and started 9 entrepreneurship boot camps on major universities to give our wounded warriors a chance to get an education so they can become entrepreneurs. The only thing I cannot fund is, and I've been there, is a couple marijuana ranches, a couple meth labs, been to one of those, and that was in the church. And they think we're from California, that we're crazy, that was in the Midwest, okay? So I don't want to hear anyone from California that we're crazy, because we're not. We just think outside of the box. And then the other thing that I cannot fund is I can't fund anyone in the coochie-coochie business. Now, I will tell you, I was at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and in walks this woman that would make Playboy stand on end. And she had a business that she developed out of that. And what we did is we ended up funding her medical device unit, and she's a multi-million-dollar company. It all starts with one idea. The only thing that can stop you is you yourself. Along the way, people are going to tell you, you can't do it. You're a yahoo. It's the craziest idea you've ever heard of. But if you truly believe in it, you can do it. I have seen more and more people come and present to me with their ideas, with their dreams. And the ones that people look at me and say, are you really going to do that? And I said, yes. And you know